retirement Thursday, May 30th, 2024 at the Ag Center. Drop-in is 3 to 6, and the program will be at 4:30. I hope you'll all join her to celebrate her retirement. Under new business, item A, 2025 budget timeline. Mr. LaFawn.
I sent out a memo to all the department heads of the budget timeline, but there are slight changes on it noted in red. I think you all may have received that. If not, I have copies of it. We changed the August the 6th Board of Commissioner regular board meeting and public hearing to send out the 5-year history. Ms. Deborah said that she would not have that information in time for what was originally on there, so we changed that to August the 6th to have the 5-year history tax digest released to the media.
Rather than June 2nd?
Yes, and she
July
said she
2nd.
would not have the information in time to have that, so we had to change that date.
Okay.
And the next one would be the next item would be changed to August the 20th for the Board of Commissioners to review of proposed budget completed revisions made. And for the next one, August the 27th, would be the budget adoption meeting advertised in the paper for the 7 days before the meeting. So we won't run into the issue we had with last year of having to redo it. We had to have that time frame in there. And then September the 10th will be the actual adoption of the fiscal year 2025 budget and millage rate. And I do have copies to that.
Thank you, Mr. LaFawn. Y'all have any questions for Mr. LaFawn? Any questions?
I think I have copies of it.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Item B, bid award for litter pickup.
The only sole bid was from Miss Peggy Burton for DAP services. I think I saw her here earlier. The bid was for $174,675, and that's the same amount as last year. There were no increases.
This is for 2 cycles, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Cycle 1 will begin July 1, and cycle 2 will begin November 1.
She actually asked if they can start as soon as the contract, the award is given and the contract is signed, since it will be so hot.
Is there a reason for her wanting to change that date? Is there a reason?
To start earlier?
Yeah.
Just because July and August are so extremely hot. Go ahead.
This, the
Can you-
daylight savings time, when you start at the end of the year, it get dark early. When you start at the beginning, towards the beginning of the year, you have more time on the highway. If not, you will meet dark.
Basically for safety concerns, what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
And what would be the proposed change would be to this coming week or
May the 8th.
May the 8th? Would that also be a change for the second cycle? Would that be anticipated as well?
I think the second cycle, she had listed in the contract began,
November 1?
I believe so. I don't have the bid back to you.
Okay, and that's what it says here. Would that be, would you like to amend that as well?
Yes, sir. I think that she had it listed as May and July, if I'm not mistaken.
August 1st.
August 1st.
that bid have a price per mile, Ms. Peggy? What is the price per mile?
I believe it was 300, if I'm not mistaken, but you also had the pipe cleaner added as well.
Commissioner, did you have a request for any changes on the mileage or routes?
Do we have the information as to the actual mileage, did you say?
Additional mileage? Some additional mileage or something, or what?
There, presently, we, the contract picks up, to the city limits.
City limits, that's correct.
Even on the major roads.
Yeah.
And, the, city is requesting that we add that's like 7 miles, which would be, $2,000 more or
Yeah,
less.
that'd be a benefit for the citizen anyway.
Well,
Plus beautifying the county. See?
well, it's, she turns in mileage,
Right.
pickup miles anyway, and that's what it's actually, that's what it's actually based on, is pickup miles, is that correct? Darryl, is that you?
Right. And
So,
I would assume that we could add a few miles on here, Miss Peggy, if we needed to,
Anytime.
at that same rate.
Yes, sir, at the same rate. We will to do dirt roads as well. We know that dirt roads is behind, so if they want to add dirt roads, we will do that as well.
Okay.
no,
Thank
okay.
you.
That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I guess when Al gets back, we'll need to let him get with Miss Peggy and maybe the honorable mayor back there and see what they might be requesting for us to add on to it and work out some plan.
Okay, you want a motion to table until our return, or?
No, I think we can accept the contract and you know, she's agreed to go, she's the only bid we have. She's agreed at this price and additional per mile price. So I'll make a motion, we approve the contract.
Add an addendum or an agreement.
Right. Our attorney can add an addendum for any additional miles at whatever the rate is that she's got here.
A motion to approve what we have in front of us.
Absolutely.
I have a motion from Mr. Darrell. Do I hear a second? Mr. Doug, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. On item C, open award and bid for bleacher purchase and installation. After talking to legal counsel, I think we need to have an executive session. Before.
Please.
Thanks, sir. Custodial services at Department of Family and Children's Services building. That's Robin.
When the original maintenance in lieu of rent agreement and lease agreement were signed, the custodial services were included in that monthly lease or annual lease agreement paid monthly. And at some point in 2016, the director then submitted a letter to former county manager Lee Lewis asking or stating that they no longer wished to have the county pay for those services, that they would utilize state contract vendors and pay for it through the state. Now their regional office has noticed that that's not what the contract says, so we will have to pick that back up. Effective July is their request. The question is, do we need to rebid for all janitorial services? Which, how do y'all want to do that?
When is this,
Do we want to bid for all janitorial, revise it and include that building in the bid, or just bid for that facility alone?
how long is this contract for? Do you know?
They renew it annually.
It's an annual
Yes.
contract. Yeah, that's
You
what I
know
thought.
when?
When? Their
Oh.
fiscal year, which starts July 1st.
So June 30th. July 1, okay.
How many janitorial services we have up renewal?
Under renewal,
Yeah.
I know there are 2, as far as I know, there are 2 janitorial vendors.
Okay.
We have 2 in the county currently working on it.
Yes.
Do we know when their
It
contracts?
is one hole.
Is the, do they do it by square foot per building?
They do.
Okay.
That's how it has been in the past.
What size? Does anybody have any size, what defects building is? Charlie, you know what size it is?
I'm sure at 4,000 or 5,000 square feet.
Well, we still got the June meeting to garner the information, and if we see that, when do our custodial contracts come up? Do they come up with our fiscal year?
Most likely.
Do you know?
They, in January, I believe the
January.
calendar year. is
Calendar
how
year.
they-
Okay.
It is 13,100 square feet.
13.1. Well, could we have discussion with our 2 present contractors and gather some information from them, solicit bids from them possibly, and look, you know, looks like we're gonna have to do it, so we're gonna have to check. That'll be a slight budget amendment, but for fiscal 23 or 24, well, let's see, yeah, fiscal 23, 24, whatever. But I'd just solicit, I suggest we solicit the input from the 2 custodial services that we have and ensure that they can provide the service. If not, we'll have to draft and advertise and draft a new contract for someone else.
Why shouldn't we have a reapply anyway?
Well, if the contract's not up until
I'm-
January 1.
Oh, yeah, that's correct. But they all should have reapplied. We do everybody else the same way. Rebid, well,
Yeah.
that's the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
How's the 2 services broke down?
I am going through contracts now for a lot of things that need to be updated, renewed, that sort of thing. But to my knowledge, we have Grasshopper Services for all of the buildings, and then Miss Peggy does the Act Center.
I was thinking that we had broke it, you remember when we divided it, you know, when the bid had turned in, both of them turned in the bids for both parts, and then we decided to award it 1 to one and 1 to the other.
Is it possible to put the one building up for bid and make the contract date to January 1st?
Talk to the man.
Oh, just, if we got information, we could revise the contract itself, if there was a bid to, to add on. I mean, just be a contract revision, would that not be correct, Mr. Tracy?
I'm not in favor of revising the contract for services. I would prefer that if this is a new service that we're going to get, I prefer we bid it out.
Okay.
I started to say that if we're gonna do it like we've been doing it, the fair way would be to bid that out, and whoever gets awarded it, gets awarded it.
for that time period. That would be my preference.
And then in December, we can start
Add
over
one
with
of the
new
other
contracts
correct.
and bid everything
Right.
altogether.
That'd be
Yeah,
favorable.
that'll work.
Yeah, right, and also I think we need to, you said that the lease is renewed annually, we may need to look at
And
an
if,
adjustment to the price if we're having to provide the cleaning.
and if the contracts is in January, if we bid that one out right now, could you put it in the contract to finish out this year till January and then attach it to the others at that time?
Mm-hmm. They just do a 6 months contract?
All contracts end December 31st and have to be
Okay,
renewed.
all right, well, then we could tie them all
Yes.
together.
Anyone want to make that form of a motion?
I move that we bid the custodial services for the Department of Family and Children's Services building out, put it out for bid, and for as soon as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Doug.
That's
Do I hear a
what-
second?
That's for 6 months, right? Yeah. Just for 6
For
months.
July 1 to December 31st.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mr. Charlie. All in favor? Unanimous. Item E, 2024 fireworks contract. Control.
Let me start over. We received the annual contract from the same vendor
Fireworks.
for the annual fireworks.
And they're gonna shoot them off on when?
June 29th is what the contract says.
Yeah.
What date is it?
June 29th.
Saturday, June 29th. That's almost a week ahead of 4th of July.
Can't do it closer to the 4th.
Well, if you do it closer to the 4th, the price goes right on up. That's-
What's the person having?
That's right.
That was a question last year.
Yeah.
You have a question, Mr. Jordan?
No, I know this is in the future that I was thinking about, but I'll go ahead and tell you my thoughts. You know, this thing, when it was started, the fireworks, I'm sure that it was just somebody's idea back when it started. I don't know when they started doing this, but it's just followed up every year. Used to, we did on the 4th, and that was okay, but now it's getting further away, it seems like every year. And my thoughts are, and this was brought up by our previous sheriff one time, it don't hurt to change the momentum of things once in a while, and supposedly just a thought for the county to think about. Maybe by this time next year, have something in place to have a 4th of July day for the children, something to do out there. In other words, recreational type stuff, pony rides or whatever you wanted to do. I mean, we spending a lot of money here, and in 20 or 30 minutes, it's over with and gone. But if you did something like that, had a 4th of July day for the children out there down at the Ag Center or out at the ball field or wherever, it's something that it would last a while, and the children would, I think, get a lot more out of it than just a few minutes of popping and snapping.
If that's the case, would it be better to move the fireworks to the Ag Center, or would that be a problem?
You talking about moving them?
I think they like the tractor pull track because it's dirt.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's,
Anything on
It's out of
fire
way
too
too.
much.
I think there's probably a regulation on that.
there's 400 foot, yeah, there's regulations in this contract, 400 foot area.
I was just thinking about, what he's talking about the kids, I like the idea.
I do too, I like Charlie's idea for sure.
Just something to think about. I know we couldn't do it this year, it's too close, but for next year.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
The contract, the price on the contract, you got it in front of you.
$15,385.
Yeah.
I hear a motion on that.
I'll make the motion. I'll make the motion.
I hear a second.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Randy. All in favor? Unanimous.
I hate to spend this kind of money for her. 29. Charlie, that'd be unfair.
Under public input, I'll make request permission for a memorial plaque on Dunn's Lake Road, Mr. Steve.
My brother-in-law Keith is going to speak for our group. He's got the facts and figures.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good to see you. We did want to take an opportunity to
For
present
those
this.
that don't know, please tell us who you are.
Okay, my name is Keith Dow. Most of you know me, some of you I work with, went to church with, but I am Keith Dow, been in the county for 64 years.
Yes, sir.
So I appreciate this opportunity. We had a cousin that approached us after Mr. John's death, who was my father-in-law, and he is actually a lobbyist in Atlanta. And he approached us after his death regarding a memorial to one of the roads in Appleton County in Mr. John's behalf due to some of the jobs that he did through his ironworking years. Now, we'll make it clear up front that this request is not to change the name of the road. It is simply to put up a memorial in honor of him for some of the things I'm going to mention. Also, as I understand, it will be no charge to the county. Everything will be done through the state. So it'll be actually no charge to the county. We as a family and a group of friends, through some of the history-making projects that he performed during his 54 years of ironworking, we feel like this deserves some recognition, and that's why we're here for this request. Just a little background, all of you had packets. I don't know if you had time to review them, but we had packets that we provided to you. So therefore, I won't take a lot of time, but there are some things that I wanted to point out that we thought was very important that you see, recognize, and understand. 16 years old, he hitchhiked to Brunswick to work in the shipyard back when the war was in full swing. He took some of that money, sent it back home to help his family and younger siblings. And then after a couple of years of working there, he came back because education was very important to him, and he attended high school where he graduated. Then after that, he joined the Navy and was in the Navy for 2 years. He began his ironworking career, and over 50 years that he built many bridges over the years of 54 plus years. So some of the things that I want to mention, in 1960, he was 34 years old, and he built a bridge that joined the two Americas together over the Panama Canal. At that time was the Panama Canal Bridge. It is now called the Thatcher Ferry Bridge, which is very, very important to the history of our country. The second thing I wanted to point out, in 1963, he went to Huntsville, Alabama, as a superintendent on a test stand for the first rocket, Saturn V, that went to the moon. Now, this test stand was built for them to be able to fire the rocket at full speed to make sure that it had the capacity to reach the moon. A very important part of history with respect to our country. In 1999, he went back to Huntsville and he built an exact replica of this rocket, which stands today for people to go and visit. During that dedication ceremony, a lot of the astronauts were there, and he was recognized during that ceremony for being the superintendent and leading that effort to build that replica. 1973 brought him back carried him to Kissimmee, Florida, and Disney World. At Disney World, he built one of the first, out of the ordinary, I would say, Space Mountain roller coaster, which I don't ride the things. I'm just kidding, children. But he built Space Mountain. Some of you kids may have ridden Space Mountain. He was the project manager of that job. 1967, he was the project manager in Atlanta working for Lockheed. There, he built a hangar for the C-5A airplane, which was at that time the biggest military cargo plane in the world, which is, I checked, and if Google tells me correctly, it's still the 4th largest in the world. Just to give you some dimensions of that building, Brother Charlie, you'll know exactly what I'm speaking of here. That building was 630 foot by 480 foot in size. So that's a pretty good-sized building, and especially for it to house the C-5A airplane. So with Matt reaching out to us and starting this process in Atlanta, which he's also had a gentleman by the name of Bill Weisinghauer, he's already started the process of reviewing the road which we have submitted, which is Duns Lake Road, the road he actually lived on. He's already started checking that road to make sure no other memorials has been performed on that road. So that process has been started in Atlanta. We would like to ask your permission to continue that on and see if we can get that through the process and have it approved for a memorial to be placed on his behalf. The family would appreciate that very much. Also, I wanted to bring out that we have recently, in the last couple of months, received a flag from the state capitol in honor and recognition of him. It actually was been flown over the state capitol, and we received that with a nice plaque in his honor. I thought that was very good, and we are very appreciative of that. So with that being said, we're asking you for your approval, your permission to continue on with this process. Everything will be addressed in Atlanta. We just need your approval and permission.
And do you know where the proposed location is for it?
For the sign itself, Doug, I do not.
Okay.
You know, we've got a tract of land right there at Duns Lake on the road. The county has a tract of land right there, and
That's right.
I mean, I think that
Be a perfect
the corner
spot.
of that somewhere right there
Sure.
would be perfect over out of the way on the left side, and yeah. So
I read all the material on Mr. John, very impressive. My only question, I didn't see a picture or anything in this memorial that we're talking about, exactly what is it, size-wise? I mean,
It has not been developed yet, so I don't know the exact size, but normally what you see is a small sign with just the wording on it. Nothing much bigger than that.
Something similar, there's one in, yeah, like the bridges or the green signs, you know. What they normally do for that.
Mr. Keith, I'm not sure just how involved he was, but I think he was probably one of the top contractors or supervisors that made a memorial here in Appleton County, and it's not mentioned in this, but he was one of the main ones that put up Dr. Reddy's glass building
He
down
was.
yonder.
Yes, he was. Matter of fact, he hired him to oversee the project.
That's right.
And that is correct. Thank you, Brother Charlie. We left that out.
That's on up in age too.
That's right.
Yeah, I think that, Mr. Aycock, I had the privilege of knowing him through my friendship with Steve, went to school together and everything.
Correct.
And I always had the highest esteem for him. I considered him a man among men. And, not many people can achieve, the status he did in his craft.
That's right.
He good as they come or better. Is that something we need to go ahead and approve tonight?
Well, I'd like to address the family as well, and I'm very familiar with the family, have been friends with the family for a long time. Mr. John and my daddy, Mr. John, Mr. J.L. worked together on many projects, and they were friends as well, and both of them were in the construction business. Daddy's was mostly wood, and Mr. John's was mostly iron, but they were friends as well, and reading through what Mr. John has accomplished over his lifetime is phenomenal for anybody. But the working knowledge that individual had for a high school education
Yes.
was impressive.
He was still quoting girder weights, sling lengths, just before he passed away. So he was pretty knowledgeable of what
Yeah.
he
He
did.
was.
Mr. Chairman, you entertain a motion?
I will.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Appleton County Board of Commissioners allow the memorial to be placed at a suitable site on Duns Lake Road in honor of Mr. John Aycock.
Thank you, Mr. Doug. Do I hear a second on that item? Mr. Randy? All in favor?
Yeah.
Unanimous.
Thank you very much. One thing I would like to say, his wife was getting prepared to come up in support of this, and she fell. And she had to be carried to the hospital by ambulance. So with your approval, we're going to slip out and go to the hospital and check on her. But we do appreciate this opportunity, and we thank you for considering this.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem.
Next item on the public input, item B, request to maintain the road, fire tower, and landing road, Mr. Terry Carter. Mr. Terry.
Not here.
Apparently, Mr. Terry's not with us this evening. Item C, request to pay David Carter Road, Mr. Charles Donald.
To be Carter.
I know it's that. I know it's that.
Don't see him nowhere.
Or hear him.
Item D, county ordinance, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, he is here.
I guess I get to use up all their time too, right? No. All right, Mr. Chairman, as always, I thank you for this opportunity to speak. So I know we got a busy meeting, so I'm just going to get right to what I want to talk about. The reason I wanted to speak tonight, I want to make sure and reemphasize to this group how the county population and registered voters feel about the unregulated business opportunities that have come into this county recently. You know, you remember back in January, Doug gave a very thorough report on that, and we were all kind of surprised by that. And we all talked about that we need something in place to control this, to give us some access to be able to manage the situation, to make sure that we're properly doing things with that. And so we're here 4 months later, and I don't know if anything has been done. And I'll get to my point in a minute with that too. But I'll offer some of the consequence of not having this in place. All right, I went and looked at the different areas that we have. We have a couple solar farms here. We have the Bitcoin mining facility that's here. And so I went and looked at where they were at, and then I went on Q Public to see what we're getting from a revenue or tax standpoint. Only one of the three is registered as a business, commercial. The other two are still registered as agricultural. And while it's a solar farm, it ain't a farm, okay? It's a business. So we're losing out on the tax revenue from that because there is a difference in the tax rate between agricultural and business. So I went and talked to Ms. Myrna about that, and so that I could understand how she finds out about how things develop in the county, and there's not a mechanism really in place. She's getting a backdoor help from Satilla as they issue an electrical permit. That's how she finds out about things from that perspective. So if she doesn't get notified, no zoning changes occurs. So we got all this different land that's being classified as agriculture that's not. So how many other businesses are out there that aren't really agricultural in nature are we not getting the proper revenue from? Okay, so that's the biggest thing to point out on that I want to reemphasize with that. So if we had some sort of application process, a business permit, whatever we come up with, that included part of that process going, okay, what's this land zoned as? Do we need to rezone it, and that's part of the process of getting approval to build a business. So I'm going to ask again, and I'll ask it this time, is a question. What is the status of any ordinance or codes for that? Can anybody give me any updates?
Mr. Attorney,
Commissioners?
anything?
It's never been presented for us to even talk about it.
Sir? Who you might down, Mr. Charlie?
I said it's never been presented to the commissioners for us to even to discuss it and talk about it. I mean, I'm all for trying to do something, but it's going to have to get it together and do it.
And I understand this is a big undertaking because it's probably more than just a simple little piece of paper. But I'll tell you also that the people that asked me to come and speak tonight have also said we're willing to help. If you need help running, boots on the ground, going and getting some information, we'll help get that information to help get this done. because I see it as a threat in a lot of ways to our electrical grid, which to me is one of the most vulnerable things we have in this country is our electrical grid, but we're gonna put a massive load on it if we continue to allow this to happen. And let's be real, it's also a security issue. And, you know, my background, I'm concerned about security issues for this country. We've got to have something in place to secure this county. And I know the state has had some discussions about laws, but I don't know of anything that got done this legislative session. So,
Mr. John, did she say anything about personal property taxes on the solar farms?
I did not address that with her as far as asking that
I
question.
think we actually, when those solar farms were coming into town, we had an agreement with them that we would charge them so much revenue on the personal property out there and leave the land at the agricultural rate. So there are some revenue generated from those personal property taxes, not just real estate taxes.
Okay.
So.
Enough about that. I mean, on a separate note, I would also like to request at the next available opportunity to this group and to the county an update on the reassessment process. And the reason why I say that is because you may be aware that, you know, Governor Kemp just signed into law limiting tax assessments only going up by the cost of a consumer price index every year, which is 3.5%. And that's not going to work with the reassessment. Now, I talked to Ms. Myrna again about that. She's going to a meeting sometime this month, and that is a topic of discussion, but I think it's worth information for the public that we need some sort of information coming out about the results of that. Whether that's an exception, a reassessment may be an exception to that, which if it's not, then there's no way we're ever going to meet the time frame we have to get in alignment at 3% a year.
You referencing, is that House Bill 581?
I don't remember the name, but it is the number, but it is, Governor Kemp signed it into law last week. It limits the ad valorem tax increase to the consumer price index.
Unless you modify or add on or something like that.
So we're going to have to.
Or transfer ownership, and that's primarily what a lot of this is to deal with. And back to your previous statement about ordinances. A week and a half ago, we were at ACCG conference, and one of the classes that I took personally was assessment and land use. So that was part of the zoning, part of the classifications, and that's something that I fully intend to bring back to this board to utilize in going forward with an ordinance that would deal with classification primarily of lands, and if there were any building codes or building ordinances that was associated with it, then those would be identified and brought out as the process proceeds.
Good. And last thing I want to say is that just from time to time, if we could get updates on some of the things that we discuss at these meetings that y'all discuss, and again, I'll bring that one up in January. It's a big discussion. We talked for an hour about that stuff, yet we just didn't get any follow through on that or update. So maybe, Mr. Chairman, if we have items that come up at the meeting, we can go on and immediately add them to an agenda 2 meetings from now to revisit and follow through and come back and see if we've made any progress on those things. That way that we feel that you're following through on what you say you're going to do, it's transparent, and you're keeping us up to date on what's going on. So that's kind of some of the things that we've talked about before of what we would like to have from this group. Again, I thank you for your time, and I appreciate it.
John, on your code enforcement, I know that there's some things coming down the line that with insurance companies and someone coming from outside buying $7 million building, and they're going to want to see that the building has been built to code, wired to code. Insurance company the same way before they want to insure something. So the codes are coming. It's a dirty word to a lot of people, but we're not gonna be able to get around it much longer this coming, I believe. But thank you for coming to talk to us.
Thank you.
Sheriff's Office, Kenny Wright. Come on, Kenny. Public buildings and grounds, Dwight Watts. None. Parks and Recreation, Tim McWhorter.
We are currently wrapping up the baseball and softball season. T-ball's kind of still going strong. I know if any of y'all's been out there, y'all kind of seen the one issue we got out there is we ain't got near enough parking. There's probably no correcting that, but we don't have near enough parking. We're starting our all-star season right here shortly. Matter of fact, they started today. We'll be hosting 2 all-star tournaments that we host, and that's just for like individual tournaments. We bring teams in and play. We'll do a wheel pitch tournament, which is going to consist of 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds, boys and girls, and currently we got 37 teams registered. The following week, we're going to do a live pitch, which will be 12-year-olds, 14-year-olds, and we got, I think, 11 right now, and that number will grow before we get started with it. Moving forward, we will be hosting the 8U, the 10U, and the 14-year-old boys states in mid-June. So that'll be something if you want to come see. We're doing a district meeting Wednesday, which we'll establish the host for all our district events, and we've put in for everything, so we'll fill the complex up again. So June's going to be pretty active out there every weekend with this all-star stuff going on. We got golf and tennis signing up going on right now through May the 17th, and you can get all that information on our webpage or Direct Guest, which are our Facebook page. It'll all link you to it. Get signed up. We're starting up another session of swim lessons. It's going to open up May the 13th on our website. The slots is going to be limited because the last time we done it, we just too many people signed up. We couldn't handle it. So it's going to be limited this year or on this session, and we expect it to go really, really fast. We're actually going to do a 1 to 3-year-old. We're calling it the Mommy and Me, where the parent or the guardians actually got to get in the water with us, with the lifeguard, the mama, the daddy, whoever wants to go with that child. It's going to be kind of an introduction to water for the kid. We ain't promising we can learn him to swim at 1 year old. We just want him to be more comfortable, and if we can teach him anything, any kind of survival skill, if he falls in water, that he can float, not drown. So that's kind of our goal with that age, and then we'll do all the other age groups with swim lessons. We've got 125 kids on the swim team right now, practicing. We've also got scheduled swim meets here for June the 3rd, June the 10th, and we'll host the district June the 24th. And then in July, we've got the state again this year, July the 19th and 20th. So you can see that June and July, we're going to be wide open for a little bit. And a big thing that we're going to have, and hopefully, well, by Monday, when I was sitting down talking with the staff earlier in the year and we set goals, when we got over there with Jana, one of my biggest goals for Jana was to become a lifeguard certifier or a teacher, a trainer. And she's had to go through a lot of online stuff, and this weekend she's going to Moultrie to do the physical side of it. So as soon as she completes it, she'll actually be a lifeguard trainer. So we can certify our own lifeguards in-house. We ain't got to bring nobody in. So we can, and she'll be able to do it right there in-house. And that's going to be a big thing for us because we struggle with lifeguards. But now we can get them and she can train them and they're certified. So, and that's my update.
Quick question. On the swimming lessons or introduction to the pool for the very small ones, what kind of sanitary precautions are you going to take?
They have to wear swim diapers that we have at the facility, or they can bring their own, but yeah, they do have to wear a swim diaper.
Okay.
which we do that anyway. We keep swim diapers over there, and if they have to have them on if they get in water at that age.
Okay.
That's it.
Thanks, sir.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a comment? I don't know how this guy does it, but it's amazing to watch out there what's going on. I just got one request. I understand there may have been a serious accident with a kid with a bat to the head, and yesterday I witnessed a kid get hit in the chest. Is there any way our ambulance service could set during this, because this is awesome, but there's some potential here in response time. I just want, ambulances go to high school football games, but is it possible to have a service when there's this kind of participation of our children and the likelihood of response time of needing and what, that was a pretty serious accident, I think, I don't know, but I'm just asking, would you consider, is it doable to have services available when there's that kind of activity, which is awesome, but I just ask.
That'd be something to be addressed in a constant sort of contract with the ELS people.
I'm not belittling what you're asking in any way, but EMS is 250 yards.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
from the complex, it's a little further, not from the pool.
Yeah, the pool's not
Pool's
easy,
right
they're
there.
right around the corner.
Yeah.
But some, I don't know, I'm just asking, because the serious nature of what, the potential there and the response on, but if it's available service that's not costly, and we do it at football games, but these are our young children, and what I understand happened just about scares me to death, that they have been an EMT there, because I think an EMT was called, correct? So response time, y'all know, is critical, and we're talking about our children. I just ask, is it, and not just
How many children on the complex?
Something to think about. I mean,
Average.
These people are already on duty.
yeah.
So they can sit out there and control.
Commissioner, any questions?
If they get a call.
Thanks, sir. I'll ask. Roads and bridges, Mr. Carl Whitman.
Good evening. Thank y'all for allowing me to come to give y'all an update on what's going on with our roads. Just a little bit of an update. Our landfill dozer is back in operation. We actually came in a little better than what was quoted on the price. So we had a pretty good bit of savings, right around $4,000 that we come under, so that's pretty good there. Also, we've completed the work that we done on Oscar Tippin Road. That was a pretty expensive and pretty extensive job, but I was very proud of the way it turned out. It looks good. Our workers did a superb job on that. It looks real good. I have got with a contractor to come and do the overlay with the asphalt. That would be shortcoming. I'm gonna get into that a little bit further on down, but a bit more of information. DNR has begun the work on the dock out at Carter's Bike. I talked with Mr. Tim Scarborough, the DNR out there today. They still anticipating that they're going to have the river level to get down further before they can actually extend on out as far as they want to. So I'm just giving you that information. It could be a lengthy process because you know how the river fluctuates from time to time. Also, the final inspection has been done for Nails Ferry and 10 Mile Highways. They should be finalized out shortly. There's only just a few small items left, like some striping to be done on the 2023 LMIG list. So that's getting close to being finalized out. Pat Lewis Road is completed for the overlay Lamar Crosby. The leveling has been put down on Old Surtsey. Now, I did talk with the contractor. They have some breakdowns at the asphalt plant. So they've moved off for a week or so until they can get these repairs done on the asphalt plant, and then they're coming back to do the topping. And after the topping's laid down, then you have approximately 30 days to get the permanent striping on it, and then we should be looking at getting those finalized out. But I want to take just a minute, if y'all allow me, to give this board and our county manager a personal thank you. If you ride around this county and look at the road work that's being done on our paved roads, Appleton County's got a lot to be thankful for, and the contractors are doing a superb job. They are really doing us a good job on our roads. So I just want to take the time to say thank you. And I know the citizens that live on these roads are very thankful. Now, with that being said, moving on, update on what's going on at the road department. Our Gradall, which is a very hot commodity right now, is working every day. We've only had one glitch with it in the last couple of weeks, so say a prayer that that continues. There's a lot of work for it to be done. Now, I do know that a lot of people have called about their ditches being cleaned out, and I want to assure the public, we will get to you. Just give us a little bit of time. We're working your way. Everybody that has called, we're going to try to get to you. Even though I know the rains has slacked off and a lot of water is evaporating and a lot of water is soaking in, but I want to assure everybody, we are still going to be working on them ditches because it's going to rain again one day. We're going to have a rainy season. So we're going to be trying to be a little more prepared for the next one. Also, we're working on building up some roads that we've had issues with, several roads all throughout this county that are just, they are down in a hole, and it's going to take a lot of dirt to build them back up. So we're working on building that up. And also, another thing I want to discuss is we have finally got good conditions for pulling ditches. Now, I want to ask the public, the citizens, and the commissioners to be a little patient with us. There's a lot of our roads hadn't had ditches on them in a long time. And when you pull ditches, they get rough. The roads do. So we ask you, be patient with us, give us time to come back around after they have time to pack out a little bit, and we'll grade them up and get some crown on them. Try to get the water going back in the ditches instead of sitting on the roadway. So we ask for everybody's patience on that. And we are truly looking for a busy summer. When you have good weather, you need to hit it ground running. So we're really looking for a busy summer, getting a lot of work done. And another personal note, we at the road department had a lot of diverse situations happen in the last 5 months. I want to thank the road department employees from the bottom of my heart. They stood up and they addressed them and they worked really hard. I want to give each one of them a personal thank you. And I appreciate y'all giving me this opportunity, y'all.
Mr. Carroll, one accolade to the road department. Someone had run off the end of Pat Lewis Road across Satilla Church Road. I'm not sure when that occurred. Had knocked the signs down. I noticed them. I did make the call myself, but within the day, and they were safety signs at the end of Pat Lewis, they were replaced. And thank you very much for that prompt response.
Yes.
Carol, thank you. You've had a lot to do lately, and you've challenged, you've met the task, and everybody I've talked to that I've sent you out there to meet with and work on theirs have been satisfied, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I don't have to follow up, and that means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it, Carol.
Landfill, Mr. Robert Eunice.
Carol stole his thunder.
How's everybody? As Mr. Carroll said, we have our bulldozer back. We got it back yesterday. It's running fine. Obviously, we're checking fluids, blowing filters out, actually physically crawling under it, make sure the inspection plate's on there and everything's good before we get it up on the cell pushing trash. Give you a little update on our deep well that y'all approved maybe a couple months back. We, according to EPD, we have to make a minor modification to be able to place that well on our landfill property. Working currently with the engineer, and he's trying to draw up the plans to get that sent to the EPD so that they can tell us we can go ahead and have the well dug. We hadn't dug it at this time. We do have a location for it, but we hadn't had the approval from EPD to actually dig the well. Have any questions on the well? We currently, just with my employees at the landfill, we actually dig and haul roughly anywhere from 80 to 100 loads of dirt per week. We use it as cover, and we build up base grades on our upcoming sales so we can have places to place trash when that time gets here. We actually have one sale that we finished up building, sale 6 East. It has been, the engineer has bought off on it, but the EPD has to come down and actually hands-on and verify it before we can actually start placing trash on that sale. We still have sale 7 East and West and sale 8 East and West that we have to build base grades up on, which is going to take a lot of dirt. A lot of dirt. We received our result from our last inspection. We had an inspection February the 13th of 2024 this year, actually first quarter inspection. We got a 90 out of a possible 100. It got us for a little bit of erosion on some slopes. It had rained real hard the weekend before she came, but she was understanding. We did get a 90 out of that. Me and Mr. Carroll worked close together. He's provided his excavator with the mulching machine head on it with an operator, and they mowed the ditches out there as far as he could reach with it. And that was one of the things that the EPD lady wrote me up on, was too much growth up in the ditches. But we've since then took pictures, fixed the problems, took pictures, and sent it to her, and she's acknowledged that we have answered her request. We had the free tire on May 4th. We had approximately 734 tires come in 5 hours. We was pretty busy. Mr. Doug came and brought us some. A lot of praise from the community for doing the tire event. Really tickled about how we done that, and I look forward to some more dates in the upcoming future. We've actually got with Aggressive Tire, and they've already come hauled off one load. They was there Monday morning. Miss LaFonda, did you get the pictures I sent you?
I sure did.
Good. Is that sufficient?
Yes, sir.
Good, good, good. We'll get you some more on the 18th. I got a couple of pamphlets fixed up for y'all. Can I pass those out? Or? I put together a little bit. We talked last month about the landfill prices and this old household trash, and I'll be brief.
Has it improved any?
It has. I got some recommendations for y'all that I wanted to. I just took some pictures of the signs. And if you just follow me through just a little bit, that's the very first sign you see when you pull on our property. The second page is our tipping fees, and you see they haven't been changed since September 1st, 2011. Third page is tire disposal fee, $6 for passenger tires, $12 for heavy semis, and heavy equipment's $80. Now there's some more. It says removal fees are $10 per tire. A lot of times we're not up on that sale when they dump the trash, and if they leave us some tires, then we don't really know which person done that. So I hadn't been enforcing that or adding any fees to our contractors' prices. Next page, you see the prohibited waste. I just highlighted that a little bit for y'all. It's basically no household. And then the next page, I took a picture of the actual layout of the EPD Bible, as they say, where it says prohibited waste, and it talks about no household trash. Just kind of give you something to go by and look at. Very last page, the top of the page is our tipping fees that we currently have in place. I contacted Broadhurst and Wayne County, which I have carried some of our trash over there. Creosote, cross ties, stuff like that. They take it, all of it over there. But theirs is $11.32 per ton, which is a lot less than our $25. But they're out of county, where ours is 40, theirs is 66.40. And they don't take tires at all. Toombs is 28 per ton in county and 35 out of town. And they $3.75 per ton for tires. At the very bottom, I put together a little price increase just to run it by y'all to see what you thought about it. 35 a ton in county, 50 a ton for out. Go up 12 on the car tires, go up to 18 on the semi, and go up to 100 on the heavy equipment. That's just something to think about in the future. If y'all want to think about it, table it, look at it before we make any suggestions. In this system that we have at the landfill, the Cardinal system works with our scales in the computer. It's $25 a ton in the computer. So once they come on my scales and I pick what vehicle it is, whether it's a dump truck or a white Chevrolet or whatever, click on it, and then they come back out, I click on that same vehicle, it calculates the weight for me. But now, I talked to the guy that actually sold us that for lack of better words, help me out, yes, the software. He says I can just go up on the household. We can keep the $25 a ton and the 40 out of town, leave that alone. But if household comes in there, whether it's 10 pound or 1,000 pound, we can set a minimum amount on that. In other words, if it bring household in, a lot of times you can't put it in that room over there, but it won't weigh 40 pounds. It just volume, you know what I'm saying? So you can put a cap on that, like $25 or something like that, and whether it's a ton or 200 pounds, it would be a flat rate just for the household coming in. That's just something to think about.